great to see you again. I hope you are doing well and that you've had some time to add to your book. I'll go over a couple things that I added and along the way what I learned. I tried adding some chalk to my paper and I just wanted to see if it would rub off, and it does a little bit, but it's kind of stayed on the page for now, so we'll see. I'll keep an eye on how that goes. And I also glued a few pages together, just one to the next, to create a thicker page since mine are very delicate. And I actually tried writing with pencil and pen on it, and so I did learn that using the double thickness helps and will give me more utensils that I'm able to use without it poking through the page. I painted just a light color acrylic paint over a page spread, and that allowed me to do some other art without as many of the words showing through. So now I know that if I want something to pop out, whether it's words or art, I can cover a page with acrylic paint, and that'll kind of give it a fresh background. I added some of those torn pages that we did back inside my book. I gave a little bit of color to Gertrude and Hamlet. I just thought they looked a little bored, so they're a little happier now. I'd like to begin today with adding some of those torn pages that you painted over the last couple of weeks back to your book, and we will get started on that. We will need our books, of course. We'll need whatever writing implements that you want to use. We'll need a glue stick or glue, whatever you have, some tape, straight edge, those torn papers that you painted or put color on, and if you have it, some light colored acrylic paint, as well as a paintbrush and scissors. I think that should cover most everything that we need today. Here are the torn out pages from my book that I painted since last time. I just painted it with the watercolors. And most of the tear lines are a little bit different. So some of them are the same, I just painted opposite sides. So what we're gonna do is go through and put different combinations of these together to see what combinations you like. So you can stack maybe 2 or 3 together, and depending on how many that you've done. Consider as you're looking both the lines and the colors. So the color combinations you like and the lines that you like. I'm settling on 2 sets of 3. I like these colors together, and I think I like these together as well. There's the similar schemes together and how the lines kind of cross each other. So we're going to take these combinations and put them into our book. So there's a couple different ways we could do this. We could use glue and just glue them flat onto the pages, or we could make it so that you're able to still flip the pages to give you more options. So I think maybe this single piece that I have, I'll just glue directly on the page, and then we'll do one of the looser ones using tape and one of the looser ones using glue. So we can do it a couple different ways together. I'm covering the edges all the way out to the corners with my glue stick. I'm going to place the straight edge of the paper on the straight edge of the binding. Just tuck it in as far as I can go, and just press it evenly so it's nice and flat. And there you go. So this one, it's directly on there. You're not going to be able to flip that at all. But I like how it looks. On our next page, let's see. How about here? I'll use the glue on this set too, but instead of gluing the whole page, I'm just going to make a fold and then put glue on the folded over part. I've kind of tucked all of them inside of each other. You could just stack them and fold them all at once, but this way you can adjust it a little bit if you want. I'm just going to go run the glue down the strip and add them together. Then I'll flip it over, and I'm just going to add glue to this section too. I'm actually going to put a piece of scrap paper under here so I don't get glue on the painted part. There we go. And then again, I'm going to take the folded area and push it in as far as I can toward the binding. And if you want, you can use some type of straight edge to just kind of tuck it in there. And sometimes that gets a little closer to the end than your fingers are able to. Well, at least I have thick fingers, so I need all the help I can get sometimes. So, and then you can just press it in, and this way it's in here, but you can still turn your flaps over. And one thing that I kind of like to do is go through and add a little marker to the edge. I'll just show you real quick while we've got these here. You've got kind of a mirror image of them. That looks interesting. Okay, so this last set of pages, I'm just going to use plain old transparent tape to put them together. I'll attach them here together and then put them in the book. Instead of taping these together the whole way across, I'm just going to do a couple small pieces. So these are attached now. I'm going to find a place in my book to tape it in. I think I'll do it next to my Scene 3 of Julius Caesar. So taping into the binding is a little bit trickier. It's a little bit harder to get a tight fit. If you are a perfectionist, you might find this a little more frustrating, but just kind of get your tape. It's about the right length. And press it on the length of your paper. And again, you can kind of fold that tape back as you press it in. Push it into the center of your binding. And again, I'm going to use that straight edge to kind of push it in as far as it'll go. I'm also going to flip it over this way and do a strip of tape on this side. Again, mine's a bit messy. I don't know if you're neater than I am. But if worse comes to worse and you're not happy with it, you can just pull it back out, right? Because this book is being changed anyway. That's one of the things I love about doing it this way. So there we go. We've got a couple different ways of doing it. Your tape and your glue. Let's take a moment to play with lines. Nature really inspires me. I love trees, branches, roots, and I wanted to do a simple exercise just using easy, loose lines to kind of create a tree-esque look. And you can use, a dark pen or markers. I'm using a piece of charcoal. I like how it looks. And pen is difficult to see, so I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So just start by going at one of the edges of your pages and kind of draw a loose line in any direction. And start at the same place again and just kind of go along, not exactly along the exact same line, but right next to it, so it's mostly overlapping. And so we're going to do that a couple more times, and then for some of them, as we go, we can veer off a little bit. Maybe go off the veered off one a little bit too. So let's keep adding some more to what we've got. But just by kind of going over those same lines repeatedly, you've got some of the contrast between the light spots and the dark spots, which gives you the feeling of the bark. And it's just a simple way to do something pretty. And later on, you can add color if you want to have something that kind of gives that sense of leaves or flowers, or just leave it as it is and do something over top of it later on. Couple more things I'd just briefly like to go over. And earlier when I was talking about what I added and what I learned, one of the things I said I did was glued pages together. So I just wanted to quickly show you how to do that if you feel unsure. And basically I'm just taking my glue stick and I'm gonna follow from one edge down to the other. And then from there, for my book, it's easiest to kind of pull it out so I'm not wrinkling the page at all. And just make sure I cover it all the way to the edges, and overlap each line. And then I fold the book down, and then press. And then you'll want to let it dry before you make marks on it, because it will be a little bit softer until it dries. So then that's a double thickness now. Go ahead and do that at least one spot in your book if you'd like, and maybe more of your pages if you have issues with your markers and pens going through your pages. The last thing we'll do for today is cover a couple page spreads with that lightweight acrylic paint. Again, I mentioned that's something that I did since the last time, and it's just really nice to have that option for when you want something to show up a little bit better without the words showing through. So it's just a acrylic craft paint, and just kind of spread it on with your brush. You can go thick in some areas and thinner in others. I like to have it mostly opaque, but then a little bit lighter out toward the edges, because I like how the words kind of still kind of poke through even though they're mostly covered. Because I love how the print of the words in the book look. And you'll just want to make sure that somehow you prop it open if your pages don't want to stay open until that's dry. And then once it's dry, you can go ahead and do whatever you'd like to over top. This sets the stage for adding more to it later on. Great! Thank you again for joining me today. And As usual, before you head out, I want to give you a couple things to do before our next time together. First is I want you to collect some different pieces of paper for next time. And this could be pre-printed paper, plain paper you could use. It might not be quite as interesting. Maybe a lightweight cardboard, or even scraps of paper that you've played around with. I'd like you to paint some more page spreads in your book with a lightweight acrylic paint. And again, if you don't have any of this type of paint, you can use, you could try chalk or even white colored pencil. Crayon you could use, but the wax might keep you from being able to use certain other medium over the top. But again, if you have paint, go ahead and paint a few page spreads. And also, I'd like you to glue some more pages together. Now, if your pages are thicker and they don't necessarily need to be glued, I would still recommend just trying one, just so you can play around and see if it looks different as you put on the different types of paints and crayons and pencils, or if it's the same, you can also try folding it to see if it makes a difference with that. But if you're like me, I'm going to go through and glue quite a few of my pages together just to give me more options. And finally, as always, keep adding to your books. And again, I would love to hear from you, see what you're doing, maybe sending me a picture of some of the fun things that you've done. I look forward to connecting with you again. Have a great week. Until next time.